Okay, so tonight I'm going to make some roast chicken, and I'm going to, first of all, get the potatoes ready. So I'll just put some olive oil and pour it over the potatoes. And I got this recipe actually for a combination of Ina Garten and some other shows I looked at and tried to put my own little take on it. But the first thing I want to put in is potatoes. So I put salt. I salt the potatoes liberally because potatoes need a lot of salt, and I don't like bland potatoes or chicken for that matter. So don't be alarmed when you see the amount of salt. And then I'll do black pepper as well. But first I put olive oil so that everything will stick to it. And they'll crisp up in the oven really well. And so after I put the black pepper on, I'll just put the cover on and shake it. Because I didn't want to, use a big glass bowl for this. I just wanted to shake it up and distribute the oil and the seasonings. And shaking is a good way to do that. And so after that, I'll just pour it to the outer edges of the pan. This is a little baking pan that I'm going to put the chicken in. So I'm going to roast an entire roast chicken because I've discovered that having an entire roast chicken does wonders for the rest of the week. You can use the leftovers for lots of different recipes. So I think at least once or twice a month, it's a good idea. So here I'm just cutting some rosemary, which makes it really convenient because when you have your own growing, you don't have to spend a lot of money in the store. You just cut it off as you need it and it will grow back. I'm just sprinkling some of the rosemary on the potatoes. And then I cut up some onions previously. I just cut them in slices and some white onions, and I'm just sprinkling them among the potatoes to give them good flavor. I'm not a big fan of cooked onions, but they taste wonderful. I just don't like the consistency, so I use them for flavor and just eat the potatoes. But if you like onions, you'll love this. And so once I have all the onions down and the potatoes and the rosemary, I'll just put some pats of butter on top of the potatoes, the onions, because that's going to make it taste really, really good. Okay, now here we have the chicken, and I'm just patting it dry with a towel because you don't want it to be damp. You want it to crisp up in the oven, so you don't want it to be wet. After you've cleaned the chicken, you're going to just pat it dry. Now you try to get a little bit of the inside too, and the bottom. Don't want to neglect any part of the chicken. And once I do that, then I'll just sprinkle it with salt all over. I'll salt it really, really good on the outside and pepper it and salt it on the inside as well. And I'm just using black pepper here because that's a wonderful seasoning for, just basic seasoning, salt and black pepper. And once I've done that, then I'm just going to add some garlic. Now what I'm going to do is add garlic to the inside cavity of the chicken. And then I'm going to spread it around in there. And then I'm going to put butter on the inside of the chicken. A couple pats of butter. And now I have some rosemary that I'm going to put in there as well. That will give the chicken a really, really nice savory flavor. And then here you'll see me putting some couple of quarters of white onions inside the chicken cavity. I'll just stuff it in there. And then I'm going to add some lemon. Like 2 quarters of lemons. Actually, I think I put the whole lemon in there, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Nope, I put 2 quarters. 2 quarters I put inside the chicken cavity, and the rest I'll put inside with the potatoes. So now here I'm just putting under the skin. I've loosened it up on the top of the bird, and I'm just stuffing the skin with the butter, rosemary. Butter, rosemary, and garlic are going to go underneath. So that way, underneath the skin will be nice and seasoned as well. And I'm just adding some rosemary. And then I'm just, patting it and making sure it's, coating the entire breast of the chicken. Now I'm just going to add some garlic. It forms like a nice little paste under there and seasons the chicken really well. So once you've done that, you're just going to make sure rub it all around underneath there so that it's evenly distributed. And then put the skin back down once you've gotten everything under there situated. And then I re-season the chicken as well on the top. I put butter on top of the chicken as well. Now, I don't have a brush right now, so I'm just putting the butter, pats of butter on top of the chicken. And I'm making room for the bird. You can definitely melt the butter and brush it on if you like, but I don't mind using pats of butter. So I'm just putting the bird in the pan. And continuing putting butter on top. Butter is what really makes the skin get really brown and crispy. So you're not going to want to skimp on that. I just try to make sure to cover the surface area of the bird, getting it wherever I can. And once I've put butter all over the bird, I'm going to apply some more salt and pepper. I also add a little bit of olive oil on top just for some extra moisture. Because you want to make sure the chicken is moist in the oven because it's going to be roasting for a long time, so you don't want it to burn. And I don't really baste the chicken because it's not going to be in there long enough for me to baste it. And it doesn't really make that many, that much juice, but I'm just going to add some olive oil to the surface of the bird. Making sure I get the legs. Sorry. Splattered a little bit, but I wiped it up. And once I've done that, then I just add some extra rosemary. Make sure that I have rosemary on top of the bird as well. You can actually chop up the rosemary and have smaller chopped pieces, but I just spread the leaves on there as is. I'm just making sure I have a lot of it on there because rosemary, I like the way rosemary tastes on chicken. It really just makes the chicken taste totally different than your regular roast chicken. Now at this point, you're supposed to use kitchen twine, but I didn't have any, so I used some string that I had. Hopefully it'll hold the legs together, but if it doesn't, it'll just keep it good enough until it can roast a little evenly. But you should really use kitchen twine. So I'm just trussing the bird, tying its legs together so that it will be closer to the body of the bird so that, the whole thing will cook evenly. And then once you've done that, then you want to make sure the wings are close too, so you push the wings closer to the body. This part, I'm still trying to get the hang of that because for some reason I always have a hard time trying to get the wings underneath these birds. So you're going to see me struggling for a little bit. Trying to pop the wing back a little, and then I think I gave up on that location and tried to push it down the other way, but whatever gets the wing closest to the body of the bird, so that, because they will burn because they're smaller and they're, if they're floating out away from the body, they'll burn. They'll cook faster than the rest of the bird. You want the whole thing to cook around the same time. So, and it's slippery. So I'm having a time, but we'll get there. So I think I got one wing down, and I'll go for the other side. And then I'll just bake it in the oven at 425 for about an hour and a half. And we will have a completely roasted chicken. I'm going to try the other wing.